Thank you guys for joining the channel. Super excited, man. Got a bunch of topics to discuss today. Got everything from DC news, Marvel news. Some of our favorite games are getting adapted into movies and TV shows. Got a bunch of cool things to discuss, guys. But hey, before we get to it, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thanks again. Bam! Let's start the show, baby. Time for some action. All right. All right. All right, guys. So I'm going to start out. We got a few things for DC that was brought to us by, of course, our newly found CEO, head of studios, James Gunn, who's very active. Definitely likes to talk, and hey, we're all for it, man. Anybody who likes to discuss, things, upcoming movies, especially our heroes, being brought to life, I'm super pumped up for, man. So, and he's one of the first guys to just be always constantly talking and bringing us stuff, man, getting us excited for what's to come. I mean, who could not be more excited after watching Superman, right? I loved it. I don't know what you guys thought. Let me know in your comments down below. But man, that movie was awesome, and I'm excited for what the DC is going to be bringing us. So, couple things, man. Couple things that he discussed. One of them, guys. First thing we're going to discuss: Clayface. One of the projects announced, of course, for the DCU was Clayface. It's going to be a horror film, uh, directed by James Watkins. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's off the top, I believe. But man, let's check out what this article says, guys. All right. So James Gunn says Clayface will be very different from Superman, according to James Gunn. We don't want people to get bored. True, we don't, man. We don't want that copy and paste stuff that Marvel's been doing. Hell, Disney's been doing, really. Everything just feels so copied and paste, man. Allow creatives to just do their creative things. All right. Well, while Superman is tracking well at the box office, James Gunn says future DC films will each have their own tone and style, offering audiences a unique experience with every release. We have more coverage from James Gunn's chat with CBS Morning. At this time, the DC studio chief is discussing Clayface, the upcoming DC feature film from directors James Watkins. All right, I was right. See No Evil. James Gunn has emphasized that the DC universe will aim to offer a wide variety of storytelling styles, ensuring each film feels unique. He clarified that while the newly released Superman sets the tone for the character's world, it shouldn't be seen as a template for every DC studio project. Each entry into DCU is expected to stand on its own, bringing something fresh and distinct. I love that.
And then we got
Let's see what he says,
Clayface we're making,
here.
which is like a totally different thing. Although it's in the same universe, it's a complete horror film. And, that's one of the things that we want to do is this isn't like, there's not a company
Cool.
style. It's not like every movie is going to be like Superman. The original, the artists and the directors and the writers that create each one will bring their own sense to it. Just like I'm looking at all your comics over here.
Thanks, man.
Right? And those are all, look at how tonally different, look
Yes.
how different Superman looks in
Right.
those things. Look how tonally different the stories are, the way they look. And so it's like, that's what we want to bring to the films because we don't want people being bored.
I love it. Exactly. From the horse's mouth. And, a few things we know about Clayface so far is we got Tom Rhys-Harris is set to portray Matt Hagen in The Pick, while it takes its cues from a script penned by Mike Flanagan and Hussein Umini, known for 47 Ronin and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, of course, everybody knows Mike Flanagan, man. Midnight Mass, that's all we need to know. Clayface is currently slanted to hit North America theaters September 11th, 2026. Pretty cool stuff, man. I think this is going to be a good film. I do. I do think it's, man. If Mike Flanagan wrote it, If James Watkins could bring pretty much what he brought over from See No Evil with the writing of Mike Flanagan, man, it's made to be a good film, I think. And imagine DCU introducing like horror films, like, along, yeah, it's Clayface, right? You know him from as a Batman villain. But imagine like Clayface standing alone, just as a horror film by itself. Maybe you could put that in there and say it's like, oh, Annabelle. And what if it's like something like that? That's that's pretty cool, man. That's gonna be pretty cool, and that is something Marvel hasn't done really. You know, all of their movies are tonally the same. Black Panther stands out because of just the Ryan Coogler brought his style to it, which but it still had that Marvel feel. It's interesting, interesting to see, guys. With that down, James Gunn also talked about a couple of other things. Next thing that he kind of was digging into is another show that we're going to be getting from the DCU. It's going to be released on HBO Max. Lanterns. I'm excited about Lanterns. Lanterns is going to be Hal Gordon. They say it's going to be like a true detective type of story with Hal Gordon and Jon Stewart. We got an old, rusted Hal Gordon, played by Kyle Chandler. How awesome is that? Kyle Chandler playing Hal Gordon. Who would have thought with just the casting? I was thinking of people who would have played Green Lantern, right? And I'm just thinking, I'm like, Charlie Hunnam or like, I don't know, a Matthew, I don't know, somebody, I don't know, a Taron Egerton, right? But no, he goes Kyle Chandler. And then at the same time you're like, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's why he's the head of a studio. Um, so let's see what he said about Lanterns. So Lanterns is a Jon Stewart story, says James Gunn. HBO CEO thinks it will be an Emmy contender. What? Let's see. So Lanterns could be a strong Emmy contender, just like The Penguin, according to HBO CEO's Casey Bloys. James Gunn reveals that the show will focus on Jon Stewart. Of course, man, Aaron Pierre is a rising star, and they were good to snatch him up, right? And of course, this is going to be his story. I believe it's going to be a passing of the mantle. I'm curious how the story goes. So it says, as many suspected, it sounds as if the DCU's premier Green Lanterns will be Aaron Pierre's Jon Stewart, at least by the end of the upcoming HBO superhero drama Lanterns. Speaking of CBS Morning, DCU co-chair James Gunn confirms that Stewart is the focal point of the story, despite other Green Lanterns being featured. We go into Supergirl and Lanterns next summer. It's basically Jon Stewart's story in a lot of ways, but with those other characters, said James Gunn, referring to Guy Gardner and Hal Gordon. Hal Jordan, Lord Almighty. James Gunn confirms that Lanterns is. Let's see what he says. Instead of me yapping.
Then we go into Supergirl and Lanterns,
Lanterns.
next summer.
You're going to have all three Green Lanterns: Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, and Guy Gardner.
And Guy Gardner,
Okay,
that's right.
cool.
And it's basically, Jon Stewart's story in a lot of ways, but it's with those other characters.
Pretty interesting. It says elsewhere, HBO boss stated that he's feeling bullish about Lanterns and thinks that the show will be just as strong of an Emmy contender as The Penguin, which just secured 24 Emmy nominations. Hey, man, shout out to The Penguin, man. Penguin was a great show. Great show. So, responding to that notion in an interview with the Warp Lawyer, stated that if there's woods, I'm going to knock on it because I'm superstitious. So, I'll just say I feel good about it. I'm not sure with the Emmy window where it falls, but in whatever window it falls, I do believe it will be an Emmy contender. Now, Lantern stars Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart. Fans will also see Nathan Fillion's reprise his role as the abrasive Guy Gardner. I love Guy Gardner and Superman, connecting Lanterns to his appearance in Superman. The stellar cast also includes Kelly MacDonald as Sheriff Carey, a pivotal character in the local mystery, while Ulrich Thompson will portray the iconic rogue Sinestro. Now, Ulrich Thompson, for me, what I know him from and where he stands out to me is definitely Banshee. He was like that Amish guy that got shunned, and he was just a gangster. Um, so it's really cool. He's going to play a bad guy. I'm really interested in that. Hal Jordan's former mentor, other key cast members includes Garrett Dillahunt as the conspiracy-minded William Macon, Jason Ritter as his charming son Billy, and Nicole Ari Parker as Jon Stewart's mother Bernadette. It was recently revealed that the 8-episode HBO superhero drama has wrapped filming. The official synopsis for the series states that the plot centers on a seemingly isolated murder in the American heartlands, specifically Nebraska. This local crime will draw the veteran Green Lantern Corps members Hal Jordan and his new recruit Jon Stewart into deeper, more sinister revelations. Before Warner Brothers merger was discovered in 2022, HBO is developing a Green Lantern series centered on Alan Scott and Guy Gardner. Okay. The project was being led by Greg Berletti, Mark Guggenheim, and yeah, pretty much like I don't know if it wouldn't. I don't think it. However, things changed after Game Gun. Yeah, that was going to be more like a CW type of deal. This is HBO, baby. This is the big leagues. We're taking away from the we're taking away from the CW, and we're bringing them to the big leagues, HBO. Um, I'm excited about Lanterns, man. Yeah, man, I think something tragic might happen. That's just me just spitballing here, man. What if like Hal Jordan dies at the end, and and he like, and it's Jon Stewart, and man, I'm excited. That's gonna be cool. All right, so with that down, on to the next. On to the next. Um, Another thing James Gunn talked about in related to the DCU was the notion of course, talking about Superman. Now, before I kind of go into it, I one of the things that did kind of bother me about Superman was the fact that he got his ass kicked quite a bit in that movie. He got his ass kicked a lot, and then at the end when he decided that he was going to be a baller, shot caller, 20-inch blaze, but he started whooping that tail, man, and I'm like, about time he did, But so James Gunn put a little perspective on that, and let's see what he had to say, man. So James Gunn, he says a less powerful Superman is necessary so that a guy with a bow and arrow matters. Uh oh. Uh oh. Uh oh. What do we got, man? We already know what that means. It means he's kind of hitting at a little bit of a green arrow. So I'm excited about that. Now, this is based on an article. This comes from Comic Book Movie News. DC Studios co-chair James Gunn states that the DCU needs a less powerful version of Superman so that a character like Green Arrow matters when team-ups occur. Some of the biggest complaints from the DCEU diehards about the new Superman films are centered around the fact that the character is not as powerful as depicted in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. However, a strong counterpart to that is that most of the MCU heavy hitters like Thor and Hulk are not as powerful as their comic book counterparts, and the general audience doesn't seem to mind. Very true. Very true. Gunn recently chatted with CBS Mornings and addressed this issue. There are some writers in the comics, like Grant Morrison, who took the idea of the all-powerful Superman and told great stories with it. But for me, as a child, the reason I liked Batman better than Superman was because Superman was just too strong at times. We're building a whole universe of characters. I didn't want to have one guy who was so much stronger than anybody else that a guy with a bow and arrow didn't matter. Interesting choice of words there. Superman has soared to the top of the box office. Let's see.
Superman fly.
That's the entire interview, which we're not going to watch here. Superman arrived in theaters on July 11th, based on earnings. Oh, listen, this is interesting. So Superman's earnings, guys. Let's check it out. Let's see where this currently stands. Superman arrived in theaters on July 11th, officially kicking off the movie side of James Gunn reimagined DC Universe. Sorry, Blue Beetle. Based on earnings over the last week, the film is currently projected to excel and to exceed initial box office projections and finish its theatrical run with well over 600 million worldwide. Some experts are even predicting a 700 million finish. Good stuff, James Gunn. Good stuff. The film, previously titled Superman Legacy, is written and directed by James Gunn and marks the beginning of a new DC storytelling. David Cornish, we all know the rest. All right. So, with that down, it's interesting to see. So, I'm curious who will be the Green Arrow. We're gonna do a video on that. We're gonna do a video who will play Green Arrow. I will think about it. I'll do 5. I'm doing 10. You know what? Hell yeah. 10 choices of who could potentially play Green Arrow in the DCU. Awesome. Awesome. Alright, guys. So that's pretty much it for what we got for the DCU. But before we go, guys, I knew it was coming, especially after Superman, and then we saw her at the end, Supergirl. We knew we're going to be getting more Supergirl stuff, especially as it progresses. So, with that being said, we got our first look at Supergirl. Let's check this out, man. So, James Gunn drops it. This is where I saw it was on Instagram. It says, "Look up, oh, look out." And then, of course, we got Millie Alcock, pretty much wearing the same thing she was wearing in Superman. She got the long coat on, slurping on something, and she's a rebel, man. So, one thing that we know is that this is going to be based on the comic Woman of Tomorrow. Now, Supergirl, she witnessed the death of her planet, and she goes, of course, looking for her cousin, but she lived a whole totally different life than Superman did. Superman had parents. She, of course, was just kind of like a rebel, man, just kind of going on here and there, and now she's dealing with her trauma, and said, I believe this is going to be a story about overcoming. A little bit different as Superman. Superman, of course, he was in the midst of it with Lex Luthor, just kind of dealing with that. But this is going to be a story, I feel, about like somebody who's down on their shit, man, and decides to pull it out the gutter. So I'm excited, man. I think this looks good. Let me know what you guys think down below, of course. But this looks pretty good, guys. This looks pretty good. All right. So with that, man, we are done on the DC side of things. We got a few things for Marvel, though, guys. So Marvel, we got Jack Shire kind of talked about today. We got an exclusive with Jack Shire, who is the newly appointed X-Men director for when it gets rebooted in 2028 after, of course, Secret Wars. So Thunderbolts director Jack Shire talks about working on the Marvel Studios movie has prepared him for the future, including potentially taking the helm of the highly anticipated X-Men reboot. All right, so let's check out what he says here. So Thunderbolts is one of Marvel's best reviewed movies. In an emotional, powerful story about loneliness and depression that just happens to also introduce the Marvel's MCU's new Avengers, which will probably all die in Doomsday. Just a thought. Having proven himself with Thunderbolts, the trades reported that director Jack Shire will next helm Marvel Studios' long-awaited X-Men reboot. It's a decision that's been met with widespread praise from fans eager to see the film's spin on the mutant superhero team. We spoke with Jack Schreier earlier this week and asked how working on a movie with like Thunderbolts has prepared him to potentially direct the X-Men movie. So this is what he said, guys. Now they do have a link down below. It looks like there is an exclusive. We're not going to watch it here, but he does say, I think that to say nothing about the future, but just this film and what I've learned from it. Look, I loved working on it. Jack Schreier said, I loved working on it with everyone at Marvel. I think that the lesson of the movie is also the lesson in making the movie, which is that you cannot, and I mean, it's kind of obvious making it, you cannot do it alone. I think that Thunderbolts is the product of just a massive amount of work. Absolutely. John Watts was my roommate in college, and I used to go to see Spider-Man movies and be like, God, that's just seems like so much work. There's must be some way where there doesn't feel that way. It's just a massive amount of work, but a ton of people who care deeply, and I think that's what have gotten me through this without, wouldn't be able to get through without that. Cool. He said, imagine watching the credits, put up, All right. So basically, just saying, like, hey, this, what it took to make this movie after doing things like Beef, right? What it took to make this movie and bring it to life, what it took a lot of work, right? The CGI, the special effects, all of that goes into it. Uh, and I think that's really awesome, because he said he loves it, man. And I hope he brings that to X-Men, because X-Men, that's the next phase for Marvel, guys. After we get Secret Wars, X-Men is going to be, that's going to be it, right? I'm not saying that's going to be all we're getting. No. But I'm just saying that's going to be the focal point, right? That's going to be the focal point. Man, I don't know what the heck I got, like a bug or something. But that's going to be the focal point of kind of where Marvel is going to be going, guys. And plus Fantastic Four. So I'm excited to see that. Excited to see. All right. Well, let me know what you guys think down below, of course. You guys excited for X-Men? I'm excited for X-Men. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. All right. So next thing, guys, that we're going to be diving into is rumor. A rumor. All I hear is rumors. There are major plans for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine beyond Avengers: Secret Wars. So let's see what this report says, guys. So it says there are major plans for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine beyond Secret Wars. Hugh Jackman is expected to return as Wolverine in the next Avengers movies. According to a new rumor, the actor will also stick around for Ryan Reynolds' long-awaited X-Force project. Back in May, we learned that Deadpool and Wolverine's writer and star Ryan Reynolds is in early stages of penning a new Deadpool movie that will see the Merc with a mouth paired up with 3 or 4 X-Men characters. Pretty cool. We've previously heard that Josh Brolin's Cable, Wolverine, and the MCU Storm are being considered to lead the project along, of course, Wade Wilson. It remains to be seen whether this Deadpool follow-up happens. Now, it says Hugh Jackman Wolverine appears in the script for which means. Oh man, what the hell? This had me thinking like, oh, he's gonna be rumored for this and for that and for this and for that. Man, bump that. All right, so he's getting Secret Wars. We're getting them in Doomsday probably. So, and then he's going to be playing in a movie with Deadpool. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. All right. And then, guys, man, we got our first look at Punisher. Punisher. So, of course, they're filming Punisher's special presentation at the moment. We got a hint, of course, of who the big bad's going to be. It's going to be Manucci, most likely, based on a photo that was dropped yesterday. Excuse me. Um, Pretty much showing the outside restaurant of Manucci. Pretty cool stuff. So let's check it out, man. So John Bernthal is back as Punisher. He's got the scruffy look again. This guy, Frank Castle, he just goes back and forth. He's like, I'm gonna clean it up, whoop some ass, and then now he's scruffy. But maybe he's on the hide. Maybe he's on a run from Kingpin. We'll see. We'll see what this press. Now, this is going to be written by John Bernthal, which I think is pretty cool. This is a character that this is him, right? This is his character, his spin on Punisher. He's the best Punisher we've gotten, man. No offense to Thomas Jane or Ray Stevenson. Excuse me, guys. Coming over a little cold here. But I'm down for it, man. So, got our first look at Punisher. We know Manucci's going to be the bad guy. Curious how this plays in. Are we going to get any characters? Marvel needs to do more special presentations like this, especially after Dead by Daylight. Or not Dead by Daylight. What am I talking about? What was it? That Werewolf by Night? Awesome. We need more little 45-minute, 40-minute, just like little short films. So let me know what you guys think about that down below. But on to the next one. So that's for the hero segment of it, guys. So we talked about a few things from DC. We got first look of Supergirl. We got updates by Clayface, Lanterns, a little bit of context and perspective of why Superman got his ass whooped as much as he did. And then on the Marvel side of things, man, we got Jack Shear, who of course is going to be helming X-Men, kind of giving his perspective, what he learned on the film, watching Thunderbolts, or filming Thunderbolts and what he learned in that experience. And then we're going to get Wolverine after Secret Wars. It looks like he's possibly doing a team up with Ryan Reynolds, an X-Force movie. We'll see where that goes. Now that's a rumor, so knock on wood with that one, guys. And then we got our first look at John Bernthal as Punisher. I think that's awesome. He's gonna straight up kill it as Punisher. I mean, he straight up kills it as Punisher as it is. But I think that him writing this with his writing partner, I think that this is gonna be a fun experience for us. Ultra violent, getting to get Manucci, and so pretty cool stuff there. But hey, man, let me know what you guys think down below. Appreciate you guys joining on the hero segment. We got a few things I'm going to be talking about coming up here. But, guys, take a second. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I really appreciate the love, guys.